Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Lars.
Morning.
Everyone else?
New Year.
New Year.
And Ellen, did you make me co-host back?
Oh, sorry, I did not.
Thanks.
Happy post-Georgia election.
Yeah, who would have thought election season could be an entire year?
Not over yet.
All right. So we ready to start? Warren, is that you with the iPad?
Yes,
All right, perfect. So I guess, Jenna, whenever you're ready to start.
Entire year.
Not over yet.
All right, if everybody's here, should we go ahead and get started?
Yes, please.
All right, guys. Consistent with Executive Order N2920, in-person participation by the public will not be permitted, and no physical location from which the public may observe the meeting will be available. Remote public participation is allowed using the Zoom program. All right, so let's call the meeting to order. We have Margie,
Here.
we have Jeff,
Here.
Lars,
Here.
and Warren,
here.
and myself. Okay, we are all here. Would anybody have any comments on the minutes from December 2nd? Do we have a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the minutes from the last PAC meeting.
All right. Any other discussion, or do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion passes for the approval of the minutes for December 2nd. Do we have any comments from the public? I don't see anybody else here today regarding items not on the agenda.
That is correct, and we have not received any via email or written correspondence either.
Okay, thank you. Are there any statements of conflicts of interest before we move forward? All right, so we go right into the regular agenda meeting, and Carrie, on my older version here, we do not have the sculpture garden. Was that added on?
We did not add that on, but we can add that under planning director's report because I have a couple items to talk about, and then Margie had a couple items as well, so we can handle that.
Okay,
Then, if that's
great.
okay.
So, okay, thank you. So we will start with the NEDCON Public Art, and it says presentation by NEDCON, but from what I understood, he was not going to be here today.
That's correct. He's got an emergency.
All right, so Warren, do you want to take it over?
Yes. Did you all receive the photographs of his proposed sculpture?
Yes.
And would you like
Everybody-
me to put those up on the screen as well?
Carrie, I must say that you're in a tunnel again.
Okay, sorry about that. Would you like us to put up the images on the screen?
The tunnel is still there. I do not know why I hear you very poorly, but everybody else is clear and I cannot understand much of what you say. It just sounds like you're in a big tunnel to me.
Okay, I'll try to do this. Is this better?
Oh, I hear you. Is it better? Yes, it's better. Can you do that?
Okay. It may be
Okay,
that
back to Ned.
my office has a lot of hard surfaces. So I was asking if you wanted me to put the pictures up.
It's just really bad. You were going to do captions. Okay, that piece is 35 feet tall. It is polycarbonate, UV protected, unbreakable, moving panels, and the horizontal are stainless steel and the piece is buried in the ground a few feet. It is movable, but it is not intended unless we want it somewhere else to be movable. He is on budget of 45,000. He's happy with that to do this. He would take 3 months to get it done. And it is a hybrid really of two pieces that are down in the hotel sculpture garden that he's doing. So it's a little bit different, but it's also, you will see one similar down there. So that's all the information I have at the moment from Ned. I propose that we go on with it. I think it's beautiful. I doubt if we could get anything nicer. See, that is a totally different thing, but it's got the little pieces on it, just like the one in the photograph. So there you are. Any comments or questions that I could answer? I don't know when we'll get him back to talk to you. If you'd rather have that happen, why, it can. We hope. I hope all is well. This is the second time I've had an emergency with Ned and his wife that he could not make a meeting. So I'm not sure.
Okay, let's go through everybody and see if there's any comments. Margie, do you have any comments, questions?
Yes, I do. 2 comments. 1, thank you, Warren, for doing this. 2, I love it. I think personally, I think it's the best yet. I'm just delighted.
Great, thanks. Jeff, do you have anything?
Yeah, thanks again, Arnold, Warren Arnold, for leading this with Ned. And yeah, I really enjoy it too. I just wanted to confirm that from what I saw and read, that the small polycarbonate panels within those larger rectangles would be moved by the wind.
Yes, they will be moved by the wind.
My other question was about its specific location there, which appears to be right outside the Public Works building. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that particular spot, were there other spots on this corner that were considered, or it was limited to that particular site?
Ned had the entire berm available. The Director of Public Works, Dante, approved him working there, so that's taken care of. I think the police would have no issue with traffic on this particular piece. It's not obstructive to anything. I think it echoes, if you'll look at this picture, it echoes the trees.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, from this angle, separates the building from the trees. And I think it's got a wonderful site there personally, because it's going to be very visible. This is a highly trafficked road, and a lot of people eventually will come back to the community center and all the other buildings around there. So I think it's going to be wonderful.
So for me, I agree with you in terms of echoing the trees. I would hope that those trees would be there for a long time to come for that reason alone. And then also, being a frequent user of both the Laguna and the community center, a lot of people come down Morris and they come down here and they stop. They don't necessarily go around all the way like this, although there is traffic that goes all the way around too. So I was just wondering, in terms of getting the most bang out of the buck, in terms of it being a focal point, if pushing it back here around this corner is going to be getting as much viewership as if it was pushed down here further, where it would be more, I'm assuming, more visible for people who just come down Morris and park along in here or at the community center and turn around and go back out towards 12.
So if you've been on Morris lately, you know there's most of the good parking is already used by people camping. And this piece might even be visible from 12. I don't know. I would have to wait and see, but it's highly visible. It's probably going to be one of the tallest structures in town. So I'm not worried about visibility at all. I think it's a beautiful location. Is really important, Jeff. And obstruction by things behind it are very important. And most of our sites have power poles and other things that really look terrible. You mentioned before, Spooner Park. It is so impacted by other things that it would be very hard to have something there like this. And there's nothing behind this but the sky. I can't think of a better place myself.
No, and I'm not suggesting moving it from this particular spot right here. I'm just saying in terms of getting the highest visibility for this beautiful piece, if that specific spot right there is the best, certainly gives it a little more height. I see that. But I would be interested in getting a view from Morris on the other side of the Public Works building to see what it looks like from over there instead of just this site, which is, I think, looking from where the square dance, the Wisherman Hall, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So that's where I'm coming from with it, just trying to get the most visibility and the most viewership out of it.
Well, that's your opinion.
It is.
I
Thank you,
think we
Jeff.
should, after 3 years, I think we should try to move on as much as possible. And I don't see this as a negative thing, this site.
Thank
And
you, Warren.
Jeff,
Oh.
sorry, Jeff, you were asking if the elements would move, and I do have a video from Ned of the same material down at the sculpture park. If you want me to show that quick, I think it's about a minute long.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
All right, let's see if I can. And I believe if you look at these are the same size elements that, and I don't know if they're actually the same elements that he would then take and use on the sculpture that he's proposing.
But the proposed piece, they're a different color, right?
Yeah, I think the color and the shape of the elements will be what you're watching here. And they'll be placed in the tall structure, the twisting tall structure that are now white squares.
Okay, thank you, Lars.
So if you come down right here near my office, you'll see both of them. That's probably the best thing to do. You'll see both of them here. You kind of put them together in your mind. That's what he's proposing.
Yeah, thank
Right,
you.
you can kind of tell from, this is the element that's installed by Lars's office. And if you look at the size and scale of the elements, you can tell they're the same on the tower.
Yeah, I've definitely been noticing the ones that are on the hotel site and have really been enjoying their installation there.
I mean, to me, I like it a lot, and I think the tower that's now, the white squares, is having some sort of issue where instead of flapping the little squares, some of them are stuck open, so they look like they're there's holes in it or they're broken or something. So, so the other elements, these taller, skinnier ones, appear to be just moving much better. So maybe that's why he's combining them. I'm not sure, but.
Lars, do you have any other questions or comments?
No, I think it's great. I think we should move ahead.
I agree. I think moving ahead is a good thing, especially after all this time. It's a nice piece. I like it actually better than the original spire that was proposed. My only question would be, since we went to the public and we had them vote to help us go through this, is there any reason why we should put this back to the public one more time, since we are spending this money? Is there any reason, is there any guidelines around that, saying now that this has changed, 100% since we started, or we just vote and we move forward and we're just done with it? What would that,
So if I
Yeah.
can recommend, this should go back to city council for
Of
their
course.
approval of the new site. And I believe there's the additional funding. The original budget, if I recall, was 35,000, and this would be 10,000 more, which this group had already indicated they were interested in looking at that. So in going back to council, we can try to get
so you're kind of
information
breaking
in
up
that.
here.
Sorry. Can everyone see
I can't, it's like pixelated. So can I just ask you what you just said there? Because it's not just a tunnel sound that I can't actually hear. But did you say that this was going to be $10,000 more?
Let me check, but I believe the original budget was 35,000, but I may be confusing
The
that with.
original budget was 45.
The original was
Okay, okay.
45, yeah. Mhm.
Thank you. I'm thinking of the library piece is 35,000.
Right.
My
Yeah.
confusion. Thank you. So there's no additional budget for this, which is great, but it would need to go back to council for their approval of the site and the concept. And in doing that, we can make sure that we get it in the city newsletter, and it doesn't require a formal newspaper notification, but getting an article in the newspaper and some PR so that if there are people from the public interested, they can attend the council meeting that way.
Okay, great. Great. So where are we at? Are we at a spot where we could vote on this to bring it to the next city council meeting?
I'd be glad to make a proposal. I have one small question, which is, Warren, do you know what the plan is for the fish sculpture that's on the?
I think the fish sculpture should be moved
It could
and
go-
maybe give it a place in our sculpture garden.
Yes, exactly.
And I think that would enhance, I would ask Beth Hartman, who is in charge of that committee. And if we could have a site that's open, not a pad, obviously, but it may be that in taking it apart, it won't be able to be put back together because it was put together on site originally. So it could be that it just goes away.
Okay, I would agree with you totally. Let's see if we can have it as a possibility, because we can't, we have to go through the whole process, but as a possibility for the community sculpture garden, maybe even put it along, someplace that we haven't, like along the fence or something there. if it
Exactly.
Can be.
Yes.
Thank you. Excellent. So I-
Warren, one last thing before we even try to go to a vote on this. You're saying that there are no objections, there's going to be no objections from Caltrans or anybody else about the location. We're good to go here for that piece?
As far as I know, Caltrans has no input on Morris Street.
Correct. Morris Street is a city street, and the site obviously is Public Works. And so I've talked to, actually, I brought it up at our department head meeting. So all of the department heads are aware of this proposal. And everyone there aren't any issues that anyone could foresee with the site.
Okay.
So I'd
Sounds
like,
positive.
may I make a proposal?
Yes, please.
I would like
A motion, Margie.
motion, sorry. Motion.
Motion.
I would like to make the motion that we approve this, send it forward to the city council, and thank Ned. Is that sufficient?
Yes, wonderful. Discussion?
I'll second the motion.
Yeah, I have discussion still. So I think maybe some members are misunderstanding me here. I love the piece. I know members have been working with Ned to try to get his work installed in Sebastopol for longer than I've been on the committee. However, I just want to be really certain about a few things before we go ahead with it. And it's not because I want to delay it in any sense of the terms. I'd like to see it approved and installed as quickly as possible. However, I'm just wondering about its individual siting within this corner right here. And with only this particular rendering orientation available, I'm just not sure what it's going to look like for people that are walking and driving along Morris that aren't coming all the way around up towards the Annalee campus. So that's my one concern about it. And I would just like to be able to at least ask Ned, since he's absent today, what his point of view is about the sighting and about it being moved a little bit further down the hill here, especially if we're going to agree to move that fish art as well.
And Warren, did you say it's visible from the community center?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
looks like it would be to me, so.
No, it's
would
visible
go
probably
that
from quite a distance. Probably all of Morris, you could see it.
I think, Jeff, it may be just a subtle change to shift it somewhere else, but coming down Morris, it'll sort of unfold as he's behind the trees, and it'll become more apparent as you come around. If you're at the community center or at Wishman Hall, it'll be very bold and clear. So I think it's higher on the site is better. So there's more visibility as you come down Morris. It's less about the location towards the street, but to me, the height is what's important.
So I was going to say, it may even encourage people to get out of their cars or to walk a little further. I understand what you're saying, Jeff, and personally, I trust that Ned has really thought this through, and especially since this has been going on for quite a while. So I have faith in him that for his sculpture, he figured that out. So that's my comment.
And if I may, I think it would be fine to have Ned do some additional, perspectives. So what would it look like from the community center? What would it look like as you're coming down from Annalee High School? Council will probably want to see some of that as well. So I think if, this was his first concept, and as he said, if you don't like it, I'll go back and work on something else. But if the committee likes this, I think asking him to do a couple more perspectives, he's been very willing to do that to date.
So you're suggesting that we delay sending it to the city council for another?
Not necessarily. That's up to this committee. If you have enough information here, I would, but it's something that we can get out to the committee either before it goes to city council or as part of the city council packet, just so everyone can see the additional information on it. It's up to this committee as to whether or not they feel they have enough information to vote and for the project to proceed at this point or not.
So we are voting, right?
So should we change Margie's motion in just a simple wording that at this point we are proposing it be on the public works site on the hill?
How about, that's one possibility. Another would be that we are sending it forward to the city council and requesting that Ned add some perspective for their viewing too.
For that site?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Margie, it's your motion. So if you'd like to amend it one way, that's your option.
Okay. Just any input on those two options?
No, other than what you said, that Ned would provide additional perspectives on the sighting of the piece.
Yes, and that we will send it forward to the city council.
Correct.
Oh, so what I hear is everyone loves the sculpture, but one person doesn't love the site. Is this correct?
I'm not saying that one person would be me. And I'm not
You-
saying I don't love the site, Warren. I'm just saying I need a little more information to be able to vote with my complete heart on what I'm seeing right now. That's all.
So we've had a motion, a second.
Is there any
I would like to
discussion?
I would,
Okay.
I would then add to it just that, that we request Ned to provide additional views. And that we send it forward to the city council.
Okay, and so that motion has been amended. Who was the second for that? And do you concur with that?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay, and so if there's no further discussion, we can do a roll call vote.
You want to do it, Carrie?
Sure. Committee member Arnold,
Yeah, hi.
committee member Langberg,
Aye.
committee member Strucker,
Aye.
vice chair Mills Tyson,
Aye.
chair Verts.
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes unanimously. And in terms of when it would be scheduled for council, I'll need to work on that. My guess would be either the February 2nd or 16th. And that's something we need to coordinate with Ned as well, because we would want him there for the presentation. Is there someone who would want to volunteer to be a liaison to the city council in case they have questions of the committee?
Warren, can you do that?
Yeah, only if it's, if it's by Zoom or FaceTime or. what
It
would
will be
be?
by Zoom for sure. Yeah.
Okay, well, if I can do it, I will. You have to set me up with the information.
We will certainly, yes, we'll certainly do that. Thanks, Warren.
Okay,
Thank you, Warren.
If you know, if you could send all of us the information, I would love to just listen in. I definitely don't have as much information as Warren does on the subject, but I would like to see what they say about it. So I'd like to just be there.
Absolutely, we will.
Maybe
send
there'd
that
be more of us, I'm
information
sure.
out.
Yeah, Jeff and maybe everybody might want to be there. For that part
Sure,
of
yes,
it.
you're certainly all welcome to attend. I just wanted to make sure we had at least one person who was ready to address any questions.
Thank you. Okay, great. Well done. Let's move on to the artist lottery update. Margie, I'll start with you. Do you have anything updated for the lottery?
No.
Jeff?
No.
I did get a couple of emails from Patricia about where to hang the art. And may I ask, Carrie, did the checks go out yet?
I believe the checks have gone out. And for the question about where Patricia was interested in hanging her artwork in 2 locations, I talked with Dante as well as the police chief and fire chief, and there's a much larger wall space at the police station. So that is what would you like to work with? I know she has some pretty small pieces, 12 by 12, but the fire department doesn't have a lot of public facing interior walls. They do within, for staff, but not, but there's a much better wall at the police station. So that's where we'd like to hang that art.
So is that you that's going to be kind of managing that situation, or is that something that I should handle?
I can probably take over from here because it'll be probably Dante and going out to the site. If you'd like to be involved, I can certainly let you know if there's if there needs to be a site visit to look at it.
Sure, yeah.
I in no way pretend to be a curator of art, so.
Well, we're not actually curating this. They're probably just going to bring their own. So it would be more like if they needed any help hanging any pieces or whatever, just let me know. But if that's okay, I'm going to just tell them to talk to you about this for timing, and you'll be the liaison between the police department and the artists and possibly the fire department, because the 2 of them wanted to put up some art. So I just wasn't sure what really was available. So, okay, that's great. Other than that, I think that's about it for the artist lottery. I think we did a great job. Go ahead, Margie.
I just wanted to say again, if I hadn't, so in March, I will be in touch with Terry Sloat about, no, not, was it Terry? No, I'm sorry. That's why, it's Stella Monday. So she will be available in March, and I will communicate with her about her photography and possibly displaying that somewhere. So I guess we can discuss that at the March meeting after I talk with her, or April.
Right, thank you. Thank you all for your help in coordinating that. And I do want to note, I know we had an article in the city newsletter, but it was also picked up and there was a nice article. I think it's currently up on their main website for the Sonoma West Times about the artist lottery, and the expressions of gratitude from the artists, I think, are really heartfelt and nice to see in this time. So thank you all for your initiative on this and bringing it forward and all your work on it.
Yeah,
Great, thank you.
There have been a few newspaper articles, not, I mean, it must have been the PD or it could have been the Times, I'm not sure. Anyway, about artists and how artists have been struggling during this time. And so it's great that we did it. I'm just kind of still perplexed. We didn't get more response, but we did it, and I think it's terrific.
Yep, well done. All right, let's move on to the planning department report. And you can take this in whatever order you want, Carrie.
Sure. Let's see, I'll just do a couple of quick updates. Not a lot happened in late December. I think we had reported, I believe we reported after the last council meeting where the new mayor was selected. So you have those updates. There was on December 15th, there was a very large public meeting about the Sebastopol Inn. As most of you probably know, the county was awarded state funding to use that for COVID non-congregate shelter during the COVID pandemic, after which they are planning on transitioning that to permanent supportive housing. So, which is not a homeless shelter, it's longer term housing for folks very low income and formerly homeless. But it's not a coming and going shelter. The city's housing subcommittee, which includes the mayor and sorry, they switched roles. So the Mayor Glass and Councilmember Slater, as well as myself, and city manager and assistant city manager, will be working with the county on coordination efforts that might be needed for that. And that was actually the main topic of the December 15th meeting. Last night's council meeting, the main topic was a proposed car wash at the Benedetti tire site. And after 4 hours of hearing, following, I think, about 8 hours worth of planning commission deliberations on it, the city council is looking to move forward with approving that project. They had some items for staff to resolve, which we'll be working on, and we'll be bringing that back February 16th to the council. That was the main item on last night's city council agenda. And Alan, do you have any items to add?
I don't believe I have anything else to add to that.
Okay. And then, so I'll move on from general city stuff to the sculpture garden update that we have. I did hear back from the county's facility department. They had a number of questions, which included both questions about the Ives Park master plan in general, but as well as this area. It sounds, so I have answered all those questions. I haven't heard back again from them on that, but it looks like they have kind of two different processes for who needs to approve it based on how much work is being done in the area. I think given the limited amount of work, it's just the concrete pads are really the only cost, and so it's a pretty low cost. That it doesn't require Board of Supervisor approval. It can be done at a lower, more of a staff or administrative level. So that's good news for us. I still don't have an ETA on when that will be completed, but at least we've gotten a response from them, and they are working on it from their end. And then Margie has put together a draft of kind of the teaser for the city newsletter, and hopefully Sonoma West and other outreach venues And Margie, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Does everyone have a copy of that?
No.
Okay. Well, Carrie, can you put it up on the screen and I will read it? It's short.
Sure, let me, hold on.
So Warren, I think we also, here you go. Oh, sent you a copy of what I had written.
Yes, I have it.
Okay, good. So I'll just start reading it. So coming soon, the Sebastopol Public Arts Committee will be putting out a call for proposals for sculpture to be displayed in Sebastopol's upcoming community sculpture garden. This will be the first show of selected sculptures by Sonoma County artists to be mounted outdoors, that should be an S, in Sebastopol's community sculpture garden to be located in Ives Park. There will be no juring fee. Selected sculptures will be on view to the public for 1 year. I could say will be initially for 1 year, since it could be longer. For further details and application forms will be available on the city's website, Facebook page, and e-newsletters. And then I had a sentence was, watch for, and I put a space, so what to put in there, watch for something or other on something or other. Just as a tail reminder for people where to look or what to do. But maybe it's not necessary. It's whatever, optional. There it is. Any comments, additions, edits, so on? Questions?
I was just going to suggest that could just, you commented on the sentence about selected sculptures will be on view to the public for 1 year. That could just be revised to say to the public for at least 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And then implying that some could be there longer.
Okay.
And then as far as the watch for, I think that's an important part to add on there, Margie. And it looks like a lot of these people would probably be contacted via email. However, perhaps it's worthy of discussion to see if something might want to be put on Facebook as well, because a number of artists are there.
Yeah, so it says there further details and applications forms will be available on the city's website, Facebook page, and e-newsletters.
Okay.
Yeah, and I apologize, that's not in this version because that was in my response to this. So yeah, so this will say those 3 locations.
Okay.
And we will put the call out once the pads are in place. Is that right?
Once they're scheduled, I don't think we have to, we need to have the agreement with the county in place. And then I think we can put the call out. Doing the pads can happen while the call is out, unless this committee feels having the pads in place is important for the artists to understand. I don't anticipate doing the pads will be, probably take a month or so to get it into Public Works queue, for them to get materials, get it all set up and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, on one hand, I think it would be good to have the pads in place first, because if artists do want to come and look, that'll give them more of an image, a view on and so we are going to select where those pads are located. So if they're not in place, then people would say, well, how about over here and how about over there? And I don't know whether we want that or we don't want that necessarily.
Yeah, I think that would probably complicate things.
Yeah.
I think it'd be
So
much easier for this group to have the pads in place and be the group responsible for that.
Okay, so therefore, the sequence would be: one, we need the completion of the agreement from the county; two, installation of pads; three, call goes out. But this watch, save the date call can go out. We talked about that and said after the new year. So that
Correct,
can go out
yeah.
now.
Yeah, that would go out now saying coming soon, basically.
Is it too soon to say, look out for something in summer 21?
Look out for what?
Look out for the call.
Oh,
Instead
yeah,
of generally putting an actual date on there, you could just generalize it by saying,
Yeah, spring, look for more information this spring.
right.
okay.
I also had a question, wondering if it would be easiest to work with if I took all the email addresses that have been compiled thus far for artists and artist groups and put them into one group for potential sending out.
I think, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Carrie, any input on that as well?
I think that's always helpful. That way you don't send something one time to a group and then forget to send the follow-up. That's, yes, absolutely. That's perfect.
All right, I'll do that and share that with the committee.
Any other comments, questions?
No, great job.
Thank you. What about for that last sentence? Watch for, what should we say? Watch for something and where? So watch for,
Should we just say for more information this spring?
watch where? Where should people look?
Well, the sentence before tells them where to look, the Facebook page, the city newsletters, and the website.
Okay, watch for updates in the spring 2021 at the above sites. Yes, something like that? Watch for
Sounds
updates
good.
in spring 2021 at the above sites or above locations, whichever. Any comment, Maureen? Anybody else?
No, it sounds good.
Okay, all right. So Carrie, I'll just retype that, send it to you, and then you can send it to Holly, or how should
That's
we?
perfect, yeah. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
Margie.
you.
Onward.
Is there any more on the planning department report?
Could I ask a couple of questions of Carrie?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm wondering if has the bank put their money into the PAC? Because it's a new bank.
Yes. Yes, we require people, projects that are subject to the public art in lieu fee have to pay that fee when they take out their building permit.
And how about that new construction just east of Coffee Cats?
That is a residential project, and residential projects are not subject to the
Okay.
fee. It's commercial projects.
Yeah, I just wondered what it was. Thank you.
Yeah, that's an 18 townhome unit development.
Thank you.
And I could say two of those units will be deed restricted as affordable, for affordable, I believe, moderate income families.
Good.
Carrie, the livery project, so there's a new development going, where the Round Table Pizza used to be, and that's a big new commercial redo, and it seemed to me they were going to provide their own art, public art, as opposed to coming through us. Is that your impression, or?
So at this time, it's still, Carrie, you're on mute. At this time, it's still, they can still decide how they want to do it. If they do decide to do their own art, I believe they still have to go through the PAC and the DRB. Or if they end up just deciding to pay the fee.
Right.
So if they decide to do it themselves, it would go to the design review and then come to us. And Alan, you're muted now.
I
Sorry.
think it may just be this committee. I'm not, that's, I believe, how the hotel artwork did not go to the DRB other than the potential location. So it may depend on where the actual location and how it's proposed. Alan, do you have more information on that?
I was basically just going to say I need to double check the ordinance.
I think that's right, at least from the hotel example. I think that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, if it significantly changes something about the architecture, then it may need to go back to the DRB because they did want to make sure any significant changes they saw again. But if it's something that's, you know, doesn't change the architectural part of it, but it would come to this committee.
Yeah.
I have a question on one other thing, Carrie, which is just, could you tell me, you mentioned the car wash and it wasn't clear about where that location is.
Sure. So the, actually I can probably, let me just, because I just finished a meeting on this with the project planner, I can actually show you the site plan for it if you give me just a minute.
And then,
But it's basically at the back of the Benedetti, behind the oil change location.
and then if it is a business, do they, again, are they subject to the art fee?
They will be based on the valuation of the project. So I believe any construction that's I believe there's certain things that are exempt, like parking areas and landscape and those types of, you know, the site work part of it. But if the building costs are greater than, I believe, $500,000, then it's subject to this fee. So it's hard to tell with the car wash whether or not, because it's a fairly small building, how much it would cost. But let me just show you the site plan for it. So this is oriented not north-south. So this is Sebastopol Avenue coming into town. The CVS is right sort of at the top of the screen. This is the Benedetti Tire Center and the oil change. And so here's the entry to the oil change right here. And you could either come through and go into the car wash, or Barnes Avenue, you know, behind the feed stores, the corner of the feed stores right here, and Abbott Avenue is here. So you can also access the car wash, and the main access will actually be for the general public coming to it from Barnes Avenue in and around, and then exiting back out to Barnes or Abbott.
So it's pretty big. It's like compared to Benedetti. Seems
Well,
like.
this is the actual car wash building.
Ah,
I believe it's about 4,000 square feet. Although the gray stuff is the parking. You know, these are where you do the vacuum dryers and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's big.
So this is the building. It's bigger than the Lube, but smaller than the tire center.
So why did you have such lengthy meetings? Like, was there a controversy on the project, or?
Yeah, so the Planning Commission had actually, after 2 hearings, at a third, they recommended denial of the project. It requires a conditional use permit, and they didn't feel that it was necessarily aligned with the vision of a more densification in the downtown core. The site is in the downtown core, even though it's obviously this whole area, the Benedetti Tire, CVS used to be the Chevy dealership, and the building to the east is the Ford building, which obviously used to be a Ford dealership. Used to be more automotive. The general plan's vision is for a more dense mixed-use development, and so the commission really struggled with that, but ultimately recommended denial. There were some concerns about whether it would have impacts given the noise and the use on potential redevelopment or additional development at the Ford site to the east. And you know, that kind of conflicts with the general plan. Has ideas about densifying and more mixed-use development, more walkable development downtown, but it also has economic development factors wanting to support small local independent businesses. And so this was kind of a tough one for both the planning commission and the city council.
And I mean, we already have 2 car wash areas in town. This would bring more cars into the downtown corridor. And so this has already been approved.
They have not done their final approval. They did a straw poll and gave direction to staff to craft findings and conditions of approval. You certainly are certainly members of the public who expressed your opinion, Marky, at the public hearings, at all 3 of the public hearings that were held for the project. Part of it is a number of the cars using this will already be passing through the area, and is it more or less, there's a lot of discussion about, is it more or less vehicle trips if people are driving all the way to Santa Rosa to get a good car wash, because the Rotten Robbie's doesn't work for a lot of people who have larger vehicles. Or, the wash is not as, this wash is a more sustainable car wash. It will have about 5 gallons per wash, which is a lot more efficient than using your garden hose or the older model car washes that the town currently has. So having a good sustainable model as a car wash, as well as this is also sort of a business model for the existing businesses to be able to do car washes for people who are already on site having either oil changes or other tire work or other work being done.
And what
So in
about,
some ways it's infill development and intensification of the use, but because they're proposing a lot subdivision so that each of these uses is on a separate parcel, whether or not that vacant parcel has a different set of criteria. And so that was another thing that the planning commission was struggling with.
and what about the EPA? I mean, like the chemicals being used handling the wax and the soaps and all the other.
Sure. And so the car wash, and there will be conditions of approval that all chemicals are non-toxic, but they won't be they'll be collected and disposed of properly. They won't be just, run off into a gutter or anything like that.
And into the air and into the air. What's going? It'll be things.
So that sounds like you should have been at the hearing last night, Mark. You were in much detail. And please do feel free to
right.
watch the video if you want additional information. But yes, there was discussion about water vapor and droplets, and although there aren't any environmental issues. So just so you know, we did probably 150-page environmental review document for this between both traffic and noise and other assessment of it. It's called an initial study for the California Environmental Quality Act. So yes, we did look at all of those things carefully. One of the things, although water vapor isn't a environmental impact, it was brought up, raised as a concern, and the council wants us, and we'll be working with the applicant to look at making sure that that isn't an issue for the nearby structures.
And then, can I ask you one other question? Which is,
Sure.
was a large housing development that was in the works that's on what is that, Bodega Avenue?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna let Alan talk a little bit about that one, since
Yeah, people are concerned about that and the traffic and so on.
Yeah, so we received a formal submittal for a 84-unit housing or affordable housing project on Bodega Avenue. It's been through 3 preliminary hearings so far, where the design review board has provided comments and I guess critiques and recommendations for the project on how to essentially make it a better project. It's currently in the completeness review of the current phase of it, so we're just reviewing to make sure we have all the elements we need to properly review the application. Do you have any specific comments?
So are there going to be public hearings on this, and is there affordable housing on this and so on? And where's the information? Because several people have asked me about it.
Yeah, so it's a 100% affordable housing project. It will have to go back to at least the design review board for a hearing. or multiple, up to possibly multiple hearings if needed. So does that answer the questions, or
And will it, so when will there be comments by the public and so on, information available?
So the public can provide comments. We are, so that we're working with the applicant to make sure that they update their website to have accurate information for the current project. Currently, there's they have kind of excerpted portions of it rather than the full information. So,
On which website is that?
so there's a link on the city's website to the applicant's website, which should have up-to-date information.
Okay, and that has reports on traffic effects and so on.
I don't believe it does. And Carrie, when I was reading the application, I'm not sure if we can require that on their website. And I was wondering if or when we should.
I think we can certainly request that. It shouldn't be, it's just a matter of uploading the documents.
Got it. So I'll ask them to update it, or we'll make it part of the completeness item to update it and upload all the information to.
That was one of the things a number of people were concerned about, sending flow of traffic through their neighborhoods, significantly increased flow of traffic through small residential areas.
And I did just, yes, and we've heard many of those concerns at the meetings as well. I did just put up a link. The city's under the planning department website, we do have a section for special projects. That does actually include information on the Benedetti car wash, if you want to see all of the environmental documentation for that as well that we just discussed. As well as a lot of the information for they're calling it the Woodmark apartments.
The what? Wood what?
Mark.
Woodmark.
Right. And there's a link to the applicant's website as well as a bunch of the reports and staff reports for that have been held so far.
Thank you.
All right, great. If there's nothing else from Carrie, we can ask for a move to adjourn.
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Is there anybody opposed? Okay, we are adjourned. Motion approved.
I do have one note about next month's meeting. Certainly we'll have a report back on the NEDCON sculpture, but we also have one of our planning commission liaisons. They've formed a subcommittee on Ives Park and working on some of the elements of the master plan and improvements there. And they would like to come and talk to this group about, I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, but we have a representative, Kate Howe, from that group scheduled to come to this February 3rd meeting to talk about potential artwork in the park in addition to the sculpture garden. And that may also include, just art around town in general too.
That's great. So you said you'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting, and we'll talk about that and maybe assign a liaison. Okay, great. Thank you.
And there were two other things. One was the what do you call it? Assistant members for the PAC. That was being discussed, and then the parklets.
And so what were the questions on those? No, the meeting is officially adjourned, but we can.
Can I unofficially ask you briefly where those are?
Sure. These aren't action items for the committee, so I think that's fine. The parklets are installed. One of them has been painted by the Art Start folks. And right now, with the current shelter in place, we've asked that the furniture be removed because outdoor dining and things like that aren't allowed right now. Once those are allowed, that can all come back into those. And so we actually did just approve a fourth parklet sponsored by a local business who had requested ramen gajan north of their structure on the pedestrian area near southwest of the plaza. And that isn't up yet, but again, once the shelter in place restrictions are lifted from the current restrictions, they'll be putting that up. For the parklets, we'll be looking at getting an extension of the time frame from Caltrans for the Caltrans related, the ones on Main Street and by Screaming Weenies and Create It. So that's the update on the parklets. And what was the other question? So council did approve the PAC's recommendation to have volunteers for subcommittees rather than expanding the PAC. I believe we had already updated this committee. I apologize if I missed that. And so if there are opportunities for reaching out to those folks, I have at least the two folks who had applied to the PAC recently who have expressed to see if they have interest in volunteering with subcommittee work. We can maybe put that on the next agenda.
So just so I'm sure I understand. So what you're saying is that at this point, there are contact information about specific individuals that we as a committee can reach out to if we choose. Is that accurate?
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, I think we're good, you guys. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, have a great day, guys.
Bye.
Carrie, do you mind if I keep on for a couple more minutes?
Sure. Can you undo the live stream?
Yeah, I'll do that now.